So we have some breaking news that in a brand new national poll taken since the Nevada caucuses, Bernie Sanders has expanded on his already massive national lead and now leads for the first time nationally amongst black voters. In this poll, Bernie Sanders sits at 32%. That is 13 points ahead of Michael Bloomberg, who's in second at 19. Joe Biden is at 18. Pete Buttigieg is at 11, and Elizabeth Warren also at 11. No one else is in the double digits in this poll. So not only does Bernie lead and lead big, this is yet another double-digit lead in a national poll for Bernie Sanders. It's not the first, it won't be the last. In poll after poll now, Bernie Sanders has a near double-digit lead or above double digits, proving that he is the undisputed national frontrunner. And a lead this large means that you'll be the favorite in nearly every state in the country, making you a very strong contender to win a plurality, if not majority, of convention delegates. But Bernie is also the only one in this particular poll that's showing any significant upward momentum. Everyone else in the poll among the leading candidates is down, except for Elizabeth Warren, who's up one from a couple weeks ago, but is down since the debate. Only Bernie Sanders is up significantly, 4%, and only Bernie Sanders went up in each stage. There was no pullback from Bernie before the debate, after the debate, or after the caucus. Just a consistent 4-point rise across the past week or so. It's a fantastic result for Bernie. But as I noted up front, maybe the single biggest piece of evidence in this particular data set is that Bernie Sanders now leads among black voters. And unless I'm mistaken, this is the first time that Bernie Sanders has led a major national poll among black voters. Bernie in this poll has 33% support, Joe Biden 29%. That's still very close. Morning Consult says that's within their margin of error. But it really does show that at least potentially across America has more support among black people than Joe Biden or anyone else. The fact that it would even be close should be terrifying to Joe Biden and the Democratic establishment, because the whole narrative was that Bernie Sanders couldn't win non-white people. And then what we started to see was, my goodness, Bernie Sanders is very popular among Hispanic voters. And that was proven for all to see in Nevada, where Bernie Sanders basically won more Hispanic support than everyone else in the field put together. And so now the conceit was, well, Bernie might be strong among Hispanics, but black people still don't want to support Bernie Sanders. And that's why he's going to really struggle in some states like South Carolina and in other states with high levels of African American Democratic bases. But here we see that at least on a national basis, Bernie Sanders is edging out Joe Biden among black voters. This is the supposed firewall for Joe Biden. States like South Carolina in particular, but his raw advantage among black voters. That was the whole reason that Joe Biden had a massive lead for much of the process until just a few weeks ago. And it's basically gone now in one of the more credible and one of the more robust national polls. Bernie Sanders leads among black people. Bernie Sanders is the only person that's building a diverse coalition where he's strong among white voters and Hispanic voters and black voters. No one else can say that at this point in the contest. And it's likely the case that no one else will be able to say that unless Bernie Sanders collapses with his level of support. It's clear evidence that Bernie not only has a national lead, and it's not only in the double digits, but that he is building the truly diverse coalition that people said Bernie Sanders could never, ever build. That Bernie Sanders would never win or would never be successful because of his inability to build that coalition. Well, it turns out that Bernie Sanders is now the plurality choice of black voters nationally, according to Morning Consult, and that is a smashing result for Bernie. It might be the most important thing in this poll because there's been lots of polls that have been showing Bernie Sanders leading nationally. There's been lots of polls showing Bernie Sanders moving in the right direction. There's been lots of polls showing that Bernie Sanders is strong with other groups like young people and strong with other groups like Hispanic voters. But this really is the first poll I've seen that Bernie leads among black voters on a national basis. And it's also a good poll for Bernie because the perception of what a Bernie win means is improving among Democrats right now. Not only does this poll indicate that more and more people feel that the winner of Nevada will be the nominee relative to the people who thought the winner of New Hampshire would be the nominee, but it also demonstrates that people polled feel that the winner of Nevada, aka Bernie Sanders, is in a better position to beat Donald Trump than the winner of New Hampshire was, also Bernie Sanders. And if that sounds confusing, I don't really know any better way to put it. What it basically means is that when this poll was done after New Hampshire, a lot of people weren't sure that Bernie was going to end up winning the nomination, and they weren't as sure that he was going to be able to beat the Republican nominee, aka Donald Trump. Now, with this Nevada victory, more people are confident that Bernie Sanders can beat Trump, and more people are confident that Bernie will end up being the nominee. And the poll basically finds no major shifts in the amount of people who feel the Democratic Party is moving in a good and or bad direction. That's a great narrative for Bernie because what it shows is that as Bernie Sanders has become the undisputed frontrunner, relative to after New Hampshire, where he was just a sort of strong frontrunner, people really haven't started to sour on the prospects of the Democratic Party. And if the neoliberal media and the corporate Democrats were right, that many in the party don't want to see Bernie Sanders become the nominee, and that he's only winning because the rest of the field is divided, you would expect to see people start to sour on the chances of a Democrat winning the presidency and on the direction of the party as Bernie Sanders solidifies his first place position. But we don't see that. And that really does indicate from my reading that Bernie Sanders is vastly popular with most Democrats, including those who aren't yet supporting him in the primary process. They like Bernie. He might not be their favorite, but this idea that everyone who isn't voting for Bernie hates Bernie is a media creation. It's a Twitter creation. It's an MSNBC creation. It's not reality. So this is a fantastic poll for Bernie. Again, guys, lots of polls have Bernie winning big nationally. Lots of polls have him doing well, moving in the right direction. But now you have a poll that shows that people are growing confident in what a Democratic Party led like Bernie Sanders can deliver, and he has the highest level of support among black voters. This demonstrates clearly that Bernie Sanders is the only one to unify a diverse coalition to lead the party and defeat Donald Trump.